Ever wondered why we celebrate New Year on December 31st? It's a question that's tickled the corners of our minds, isn't it? This curiosity is as universal as the celebration itself. No matter where you're from, be it Tokyo, Timbuktu, or Toronto, the anticipation and excitement bubble up as the clock ticks towards midnight on December 31st. A sense of unity blankets the world. We're all waiting for that same moment, that same second when the old year bows out and the new one steps in. It's a phenomenon as fascinating as it is ubiquitous, transcending borders, cultures, and languages. But that brings us back to our initial question, doesn't it? Why December 31st? What makes this day so special that it commands a global celebration? Is it historical, cultural, or maybe it's scientific? Well, that's what we're here to explore. Let's dive into the history first. To understand the why of December 31st, we must journey back in time. Let's travel back thousands of years to the cradle of civilization, where the earliest recorded New Year celebrations took place. Yes, we're talking about ancient Mesopotamia, where the New Year was celebrated in mid-March, with the first new moon after the vernal equinox. However, it was the Romans, those masters of administration and organization, who shifted the gears and redefined the calendar. The earliest Roman calendar had March as the first month of the year, but when Julius Caesar came to power, he introduced the Julian calendar, which closely resembles the Gregorian calendar we use today. Now, you may be wondering, but why December 31st? Well, it all aligns with the Roman calendar system. The Romans dedicated this time to Janus, the two-faced god who looked back into the old year and forward into the new. December, being the last month of the year, was seen as a period of transition, just as Janus symbolized transitions and beginnings. Over time, as the Roman Empire grew and its influence spread, so did its calendar. The celebration of the New Year on January 1st, and by extension New Year's Eve on December 31st, spread throughout the empire and beyond. This tradition was further cemented by the adoption of the Gregorian calendar in the late 16th century. Today, we continue to honor this age-old tradition, celebrating the close of one year and the promise of the next. We may not pay homage to Janus, but in our own ways, we look back at the year that was and look forward to the year to come. We make resolutions, set goals, and hope for a brighter, better year ahead. And that's how history has shaped our New Year celebrations. Now, what about the cultural aspect? Cultures around the globe have their unique ways of ringing in the new year. As we traverse the world, we'll find a tapestry of traditions and rituals, each one as vibrant and diverse as the communities that uphold them. It's a testament to the human spirit, a testament to our shared love for celebration. Let's take a journey, starting in Spain. As the clock strikes midnight, Spaniards engage in Las 12 Uvas de la Suerte, the 12 lucky grapes tradition. With each toll of the bell, a grape is eaten, symbolizing hopes for the 12 months ahead. We then cross the Atlantic to Brazil, where the goddess of the sea, Yamanja, is honored. People dress in white and offer flowers in small boats to the sea, hoping for blessings in the new year. In Japan, the New Year, or Shogatsu, is welcomed with Joya no Cane, the ringing of Buddhist temple bells. Each bell tolls 108 times, believed to cleanse the 108 earthly desires. Over in Scotland, the Hogmanay festival lights up the night with fire processions and a tradition called first footing, where the first person to cross a home's threshold after midnight brings good fortune. In the heart of New York City, the dropping of the iconic Times Square ball signifies the countdown to the new year, a tradition that has captivated millions since the early 20th century. These cultural practices, rich and varied, converge on one common point: December 31st. It's a date that unites us all in the spirit of celebration, of bidding farewell to the old and welcoming the new with open arms. It's fascinating, isn't it? How despite our differences, we all find a reason to celebrate at the same time. Our methods may differ, our traditions may be worlds apart, but the essence remains the same. We all yearn for a fresh start, for new beginnings, and for hope. Cultural practices may vary, but the spirit of celebration and the date remain the same. Now let's add a bit of science to the mix. Did you know that our celebration of New Year's Eve is not just historical and cultural, but also scientific? We often overlook the fact that science is deeply intertwined with our daily lives, and the date we celebrate New Year's Eve is a prime example of this. Our calendar system, which determines when we celebrate New Year's Eve, is a scientific marvel in itself. It's based on the Earth's orbit around the Sun, a journey that takes roughly 365 and a quarter days. This period is what we refer to as a solar year, but wait, a quarter of a day? Yes, you heard it right. A solar year isn't exactly 365 days, but rather 365.24 days. To account for this extra time, every fourth year is a leap year with an extra day, February 29th. This keeps our calendar in sync with the Earth's orbit around the sun. Now, you might be wondering, why December 31st? Why not any other day? Well, the answer lies in the ancient Roman calendar. The Romans, who were quite the astronomers, aligned the start of their calendar with the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year. The winter solstice usually falls on December 21st or 22nd. The Romans then counted 10 days from the winter solstice, which brings us to December 31st. So, the date for New Year's Eve, like many things in our lives, is a blend of science and history. The science of Earth's orbit around the sun gives us our calendar year, and history, through the ancient Romans, gave us December 31st as the end of that year. It's fascinating, isn't it, how science and history come together to shape our traditions. The next time you're counting down the final seconds of December 31st, remember that you're not just partaking in a historical tradition, but also celebrating a scientific phenomenon. So there you have it. Science too plays its part in our New Year's Eve celebrations. Let's summarize what we've learned. So why do we celebrate New Year on December 31st? Let's recap. We started our journey by exploring the curiosity of celebration. We found that humans have an innate desire to celebrate milestones, and the New Year is one of the most significant milestones we have. It's a time to reflect on the past year and look forward to new beginnings. Then we took a historical journey back to ancient Rome. The Romans used a lunar calendar that had December as the 10th month. When Julius Caesar reformed the calendar into the solar one we use today, he added January and February at the beginning, making December the 12th month. But the tradition of celebrating the new year at the end of December stuck around, so we can thank Julius Caesar and the Romans for our December 31st New Year's Eve parties. Next, we dove into cultural celebrations around the world. From the fireworks in Sydney to the ball drop in New York City, from the bell ringing in Japan to the lantern festivals in China, we saw that the date resonates with diverse cultures globally. Each culture has its unique traditions, yet they all unite on December 31st to bid farewell to the old year and welcome the new one. And then we discussed the science behind the date. Our planet Earth orbits the sun once every 365.25 days. To make up for that quarter day, we have a leap year every 4 years. This precise scientific calculation brings us to December 31st as the last day of the year. Whether it's history, culture, or science, they all point us to December 31st. A day of global unity and celebration. The new year is not just a date on the calendar, but a symbol of hope and renewal, a chance to start fresh. So, here's to another year of learning, growing, and celebrating together. Happy New Year.